do you bring up kids in a very good way that's going to develop them the best way possible? How do you get them to listen to you? Is there a secret? So I found 10 magic rules of education that if you follow these 10 steps, you will come out with great kids. But it takes your participation. And here they are. Number 1, you get what you put in. Meaning, if you don't put in the time, and you don't think about it, and you don't talk to your spouse, or you don't put in time with your kid to take them on a trip, to sit with them, to analyze, think about it. If you don't put in the time with your children, you're going to lose. So number 1 rule, put time in. You get what you put in. Number 2, you must show the kids that you love them. Either that's with a hug and a kiss, or a few good words. Put in time, show they're precious and valuable, praise them. You must show the kids that you love them. Number 3, this is an important rule because many people fall down in this one. The kids have to know the red lines. The father can't say, okay, you go to bed at 10, and the mother says you go to bed at 9. The father says, this is the dress code, and the mother says, this is the dress code. This is how much you have to spend, or this. They have to know the red lines. And if they know their red lines, and they know you love them, they will never go over those red lines because they will not want to hurt you because they love you so much. Get those red lines straight. You have to have an agreement between the husband and wife what those red lines are. And if you're a single parent, then you gotta know, the kid has to know. You can't one day one thing and another day another thing. They have to know the red lines. Number 4, do not use religion as a punishment. So if you're religious, you don't say, well, you can't come to the synagogue today because you spilled the milk in the house. Or now that you did something wrong in the house, write 10 times Psalm number 132. If it's not a question of religion, if you're not necessarily religious, you could say an incorrect punishment would be, I'm sorry, you can't come to the wedding. Or, you can't come to Uncle Moishi, Uncle Irv's house, or Uncle Steve's house. Then you're using family as a punishment. Reward and punishment have to be disassociated with the true moral values and the fiber of the family. Reward and punishment is something else completely. Number 5, do not give a punishment you cannot replace. Everybody's going to Disneyland, you're packing up, all of a sudden the kid breaks the window. He pulls his sister's ponytail. Can't go to Disneyland, I'm sorry. Well, you can't replace that. That's a family trip that will be gone. There's a wedding to go to. You can't go to the wedding because you didn't clean your room. That wedding is here and gone. You'll never be able to replace that. If you want to give a punishment, so you say, I'm not going to get you the shoes. Those Nike tennis shoes? Sorry, you can't get those shoes because you were smart to your mother. Well, that's a punishment that once the child rectifies it, you can replace that punishment. I'll get you the Nike shoes. Okay? Don't give a punishment you can't replace. That's going to cause a big trauma, and he's always going to be saying, I missed that wedding, I missed that trip. It's going to cause problems. Number 6, it sounds simple, but if you pay attention, a lot of parents fall down in this one. What is that? Do not call names. The minute you call the kid names, you stupid fool, you idiot, how did you do that? You're a weirdo. Whatever punishments you say, these are nice languages. I've heard much more worse language that when referring to a child. You call names to a child, that really that really labels him, and he starts to feel bad about himself. Maybe I am stupid. Maybe really I am a slob. Maybe I really can't think straight. Don't call names. Number 7, do not compare your child with the other siblings. And I want to extend that. Don't compare him to other people. He is who he is, he or she. And he's doing the best he can to be who he is. And he's always got to know that. You can use other people as a role model. George Washington never told a lie. You know, use these great people that are around us as role models, but not to compare how much you're missing. Because once a person does that, then what will come of it? Hate, jealousy, because they're not living up to, or they're saying that person is sabotaging my life. So it's better to use it as a role model. You are as good as George. You're as good as whoever else you want to compare to. Speaking about role models, rule number 8. You yourself have to be a good role model. You want your child to wake up early? You get up early. You want your child to help your wife in the house clean? How about you? Do you help your wife in the house clean? You want your child to give his father or her father honor and respect? So do you as a mother or as a wife give your husband respect? You must be a good role model. What you're asking your kid to do, you yourself have to role model that behavior. Number 9. Do not get kids involved in your finances. They should not know how much money you have. It's not their business. Whether you can afford something, you can't afford something. The bills of the house, the electricity, whatever it is. And I've heard so many people get their kids involved in the finances, and they're not of the age. They don't understand. How are your child comes to you and he says, I want a new car. He's only 10 years old. I want a new car. Okay, little Stevie, Joey, when you get the right age, we'll talk about a car. Oh, I must have a bicycle. If I can't have a car, I got to have a bicycle. Okay, now let's say you don't have the money. Okay, let's talk about it next week. I have something coming in. We'll talk about it. You don't get involved in the details of your finances. A child cannot understand that, and it's only going to mess him up. The last rule that I have is sort of an all-encompassing rule. You have to know that raising children is a challenge. And you have to know that if it doesn't go easy, that's because this is your job. And the kid, which is the highest maintenance child, he's giving you the most trouble. That's because you were created for that job. And that's where you're going to grow the most. That's rule number 10. You will grow the most from the kid that is the highest maintenance. So I just want to give you all a blessing that you really give your kids the best that you can. And if you follow these rules, it's almost guaranteed. Of course, you have to have help, from the Almighty. It's basically, if you follow these rules, it's guaranteed that your child will come out the best person that he can.